Hey everybody, Ty here. Hope everyone is doing well. It's been a little minute since we've done a tropical outlook. It's almost been about a week, I think. It's been getting a little bit hard to keep up with things. We have a little bit more time to make videos now, so I'm trying not to blur everything together too quickly. But there was something that happened within the last 48 hours that was worth mentioning, but we kind of got sidetracked by severe weather, and then also just other errands that I'm still having to run. But we actually did have a tropical system develop over here. Andrea, we did get a name storm. It was Andrea or Andrea, whichever one you want to pronounce it as. But and I'm gonna go with Andrea personally. But Andrea formed over here towards the North Atlantic. Didn't really do much of anything, obviously. Given the environment out here, especially with the sea surface temperatures being below what you would really need for tropical development over here, it was actually really surprising that the storm even developed at all. A couple of days ago, there was like a very odd, like 40% chance that it popped up on the National Hurricane Center site briefly, and then quickly it ramped up to a 40-mile-per-hour tropical storm, and then right after that, it pretty much died. By the next morning, we already had a extra tropical system, and it was on its final advisory. So as quickly as it formed, it dissipated even quicker. So, with that being said, of course, we're going to try to keep ourselves on top of things as we go further into the future here. So, obviously, given the environment that we have here, and I keep clicking the wrong tab, but given the environment we have here, any storms that form over here will have a really hard time developing. There's a very slim chance that they do, but if they do, we're going to end up getting another sneaky name stormed here. But all the warmest water is, of course, over here towards the Gulf, over here towards the Western Atlantic, and, of course, the main development region. Main thing with these regions right now is the fact that there's a lot of wind shear over towards these areas right now. So development at this point is going to remain unlikely. And this is a prominent thing on both models. I'm not going to show the European ensemble at this time anyway, because the models are still loading in as of right now. But fact of the matter is, though, we're going to have plenty of wind shear even as we head into the month of July here. So despite the fact that we have those warmer temperatures, this wind shear is not good for tropical development. So we're going to see things remain a little bit hampered. Now, towards the end of this time frame, though, we're starting to see some of this wind shear begin to lighten up. And another inhibiting factor, and I'm going to rewind this back here. Look at this little blue H over here, this high pressure area that's popped up. So this area, with the way it's positioned right now, is also funneling in some dry air from the Sahara as well. And as a result, this is going to help keep these areas dry. Obviously, with a tropical system, you want a tropical atmosphere, a very moist atmosphere. Dry air is an enemy of tropical systems. And it's pretty well reflected on this model right here. And we're going to continue to see that dry air dominate as we go through the rest of the month. Now, as we start to get into July, we're going to start to see a little bit of a leveling off here, but also a little bit more potentially in the way of activity coming off the West African coast here. This isn't uncommon. As we get later into hurricane season, we start to see this area begin to open up, but still, even with this, we still have a lot of dry air from the Sahara coming in and keeping things at bay here, essentially. So between the lower sea surface temperatures, the heightened wind shear at times, and then also the dry air that's in play, it's going to keep things relatively under control. Despite that, though, there are a couple areas that I would be paying extra close attention to. It's mainly this strait here from Panama all the way up towards the Yucatan that seems like the point of interest as of right now. There's a pretty good reflection of that here. And then also on the northern end of this ridge here, there may still be chances for development. Again, as I mentioned before, sea surface temperatures, I anticipate them to remain pretty low, though, towards these areas. Really a good ballpark number, and I'll show you the map again. Good ballpark number for tropical development is right over here on the edge of the green and the yellow, somewhere between 26 to 28 degrees Celsius. You multiply it by 3, you're getting towards like 78 to 81 degrees, 84 degrees Fahrenheit here. Dear God, if that was Celsius, that would be a problem. But about 78 to 84 degrees Fahrenheit is a good ballpark number for tropical development. Preferably, you want to be above 80. But obviously, with this area and lighter wind shear, you can't rule anything out. But at this point, if we were to go ahead and take a look at our ensemble numbers here, we're looking for the red numbers here, and we're also looking for these isobars to form up into a circle. That indicates a stronger low pressure area. As time goes on, we're going to look towards the back end of this model here, really, at this point. We start to see a little something develop here, maybe another potential area here coming into play as we go further into range. Now, keep in mind, we're looking at the GFS here. GFS always tends to be a little bit more active towards the end of its run and come up with a kind of headstrong, bullish kind of runs here. So I'm not going to go as far as to say that this is going to be a thing, but this might be an area of interest, something that's worth watching. But also keep in mind, this sometimes can be the model that cried wolf here. So last thing to look at here, since we don't have a whole lot of model data available, we're doing this on what I like to call a model cusp here. So a lot of new data is going to be coming in soon. Here's my reasoning, even though we only looked at GFS to kind of back up maybe something going on between that Panama Strait all the way up towards the Yucatan here. You can see a nice little group of low pressures that's popping up here, and this is ranged off a multitude of models here. And then, of course, here's that secondary area that I talked about over there. It's going to be on the north side of this high pressure ridge. So you can see that this area right here is going to be the center of the high pressure. New one pops up here, and then eventually we get something going. All while in the meanwhile, we still have that dry air in place over towards the West African coast. But off to the south of that, where the moisture is still going to be a little bit more prominent, there are a couple of pressures that do try to make it out to the Atlantic here. Problem is, again, wind shear is going to be a problem. Directional shear in particular will be a problem. It's going to help push everything further off towards the south where things are a little less favorable. But then again, we'll have to keep an eye on maybe South America even. But as of right now, though, nothing pressing to really worry about at this point in time. We'll see how July ends up panning out. And one thing that I neglect to mention in the very beginning of the video is the streak continues in regards to named storms in June. We usually will average one storm every 2 years. The last, actually, I would say about 4, maybe 5 years, we've had at least one named storm in June. So the averages are changing, folks. That being said, though, a little fun fact for you, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video and you found it useful. We might be live later today to cover severe weather. We'll see what happens with that. I'll be on standby pretty much from 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock onward from this point. But thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one. Everyone take care and have a wonderful rest of your day.